In this video, I'm going to be surviving 24 hours as a Godzilla Kaiju in Creatures of Sonaria. This is Camoebus, a very powerful, massive turtle kaiju from the Godzilla series, and I'm going to be surviving as him in Creatures of Sonaria. Hour 1. I started off in the tundra, immediately saw a Kratos, and, just thought to myself, I'm getting the fuck out of there, I'm not getting molested by this big black monkey. Now, I immediately headed to the safety of the water, exploiting the fact that my Camoebus is a very semi-aquatic thing, and in order to survive and not die of moistureness, I need to go in the water and also escape predators by going in the water. A very, very good idea. After exiting the water, it was time to chill for a little bit until the next hour came. Hour 2 began with a little swim, followed by a little trek into the land, into Swamp Hill. I looked around for food and for water, also for maybe anyone I wanted to KOS, but I am too weak in this stage to KOS, so I ended up just eating some berries to fill myself up. Next, also, it was time to complete some missions, looking for some mud and other food items. After doing some missions, I continued my survival by running around into some food, and then also running across a little green thing, which I was not sure what this was, and I decided to attack it just for the sake of a mission, but I quickly realized that this thing was overpowering me. 1, because I was a child, 2, I don't have any armor, 3, I do no damage, and 4, I'm getting poisoned to death and I'm scarred to hell in my body. But luckily, I'm a semi-aquatic, and Camoebus can run away and heal, and so I spent the latest part of this hour just healing away all the wounds. Hour 3. This was not off to a great start, as immediately after this, a volcano just erupted, and I had to duck down and just pray to God that I wouldn't die in the water. But even in the water, in the safety of my environment, I was still getting killed by ashy lungs, or at least being affected by it, until I saw a little green mysterious thing. And of course, being as gullible as I am, I rushed towards the green thing out of curiosity after I fixed my turning, because this game is awful. Darted towards it, realized it was an arcane portal, and as meteors raining down, I luckily teleported to the algae sandbar, where I could take refuge in the depths of the water. I realized soon that I'd actually found a completely new safe environment for me, with plenty of resources around me and plenty of space to live in. However, thankfully, this disaster of the volcano did not have to last long, as after chilling around for a bit and trying not to die to any enemies that I saw, the volcano just kind of went away and the meteor stopped coming. My lungs cleared up after hiding in this hole, and that was overall a really, really boring volcano, aside from the really awesome battle music in the background. At the beginning of Hour 4, I went straight back to the portal, but then realized I didn't want to go back down to those cramped depths. So I spent Hour 4 just swimming across, aimlessly trying to find new lands and also resources, maybe anyone I could KOS for fun, but that was nowhere to be found, and I proceeded to just aimlessly swim away ad nauseum while trying to make sure that my scars would go away, because I was still injured from the fight from earlier. I still had not regenerated all my health and was still at around half health. Hour 5, I decided to look for some reliable food sources, realizing I could not eat any of the bushes or the algae, and eventually decided, okay, time to rise up and collect this thing, which miraculously despawned right as I was approaching it, but that was okay. I was more concerned about surviving, and at this point, my scars from the earlier battle had all healed away, thankfully. I immediately darted towards some water that was within my vicinity, but ran out of stamina, tried to dash towards it, but realized it's only a thing that I have underwater, and in the end, made it to this water, which is really, really stupid, because being an aquatic creature and being in the water should automatically, regenerate my water, because I'm always in the water. But no, this game just wants me to go to the water on the land designated for drinking, and so I did, and that was a horrible, horrible Hour 5. By the time of Hour 6, I was wondering when I would actually grow up, since as this pathetic little slug of a thing, I was not going to do anything to anyone, although thankfully by this point, my health had basically regenerated to full after that devastating earlier fight that I'd suffered. After going into Rocky Drop, again searching for any resources that I could, live off of for a while, for several hours, I realized that they were all horrendously far away, and right at this time, I aged up to a teen. I celebrated this growing up by eating 2 berries, and immediately began searching for other resources as I finally grew my turtle shell that is reminiscent of Camoebus. I found some grass which would sustain myself for a while. as I enter the Flower Cove, looking to do some missions. Hour 7, it had finally become day after ages of playing, and it was just very happy to see this because it had been a miserable playthrough up until this time, and at least I could enjoy the beauty of the map, even if I'd still had nothing to do, waiting to age up and waiting to be ready to fight, but alas, it was still a far while away. In hour 9, I finally gave myself the confidence to go up onto land and see if there was any challenge I could encounter. I still have to be very careful though because my thing is very slow, and Kamibus would have to run away if there was anything super significant that would engage me in a fight. Hour 9, I came across this very weirdly colored blob, and I was very pleased to realize that this was indeed algae that I could eat ad nauseum. I quickly filled myself up before heading out to the next challenge. Hour 10, I began to make landfall comfortably and saw ahead of me a vicious pack of flying thingies. I carefully climbed along the mountain just to avoid those things because I did not want to be molested by big black birds. However, they seemed to be busy doing other things, and so I headed further inland. At this point, I'd realized that I could also be careful about going into the water, which is my home, because there were other monsters in there, and as I went to go to the water, I realized I'd run out of stamina, so I'd have to rest for the rest of this hour. Hour 11, I'd finally picked up enough stamina. I was wary because there was a little big spider monster and also a big black bird within my vicinity, so I'd have to wait for my rest to finish, and once I had enough stamina, I could also head over there and begin filling up my water, which had not been filled up for a long time. There was a baby thing within walking distance, but luckily it was of no threat to me, so I was able to drink, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out that this place I could survive off of for a long time. There was unlimited water here, unlimited algae, and so I quickly drank my fill and used this hour to regain my resources and prepare to go out again for another travel. I spent the entirety of hour 13 just relaxing in this cave. It was very comfortable. There was nothing particularly intimidating around, and I had unlimited food, unlimited water to feast off of as I waited to grow up and face the world. Throughout hour 14, after filling up my water and food, I decided to take a rest and take a full nap, sleep for a while until there was any danger, and then I would have to evacuate as soon as possible. But I rose out of the water, the danger never really came, although there was a new blue thing that was glowing, and so I decided that it would be best not to go into close contact with that and head out to another land where I would be more peaceful and uninterrupted as my Godzilla Kaiju Kamibus. I returned to the water after quite a long excursion and swam the seas looking for some land. I encountered this desert, but there was really nothing in it, and I just sniffed out some stuff, but all the resources were back there, and so I left immediately after. I spent hour 15 just enjoying a swim, messing around with the darting feature, blowing out all my stamina, but it was okay because there was nothing around me that could pose any sort of threat to me. At this point, I'd already aged up quite a bit and had amassed around 5,000 health with my turtle armor. While my damage is very low, I could definitely take enough hits to run to the water if I ever saw a threat. Took this time to just snack on a few berries before I headed back out. Hour 16, I came across a thing, some big black bird, and out of fear, I killed it. Shockingly, it died in 2 hits, which I was not expecting, but I quickly ran away before anything else was attracted. And I realized I could also complete a mission right now by rolling in the mud a few times, so I spent this whole hour just rolling in mud 3 times to complete my mission. Hour 17, I returned back to that sanctuary that I found with the unlimited water and the unlimited food down there, but I immediately began to feel some danger and was quick to realize that I'd been afflicted with 2 status effects that I'd previously never encountered before. A new monster just spawned on top of the blue glowing thingy out there before, And I realized that if I wanted to survive this, I could not fight them. I have to run away as soon as possible and get out of the distance of that corrosion and try to wrest it all away. After what was close to disaster, I spent hour 18 completely recouping and resting just to get all these effects away before I could continue out with the trek. Luckily, this did not damage me out too much, although it's very annoying if I just keep taking damage from having these effects, and so at this point I'd already been back to about full health and could continue my journey away from the danger. Hour 19, I made my way into the tundra. I briefly thought that there were some enemies nearby, but those were simply just trees. I was completely safe here and content, walked around, my resources were already fully filled up, and there was not really much to do in this hour besides just walking around. By hour 20, it was very pleasing to see that daybreak had once again returned. The bright sky was here to greet me, and I could finally actually see in this game again for the first time in many hours. I slowly made my way up to whatever I felt would be a safe area. Took a bit of a rest as my stamina was all depleted from sprinting. Not used to playing things this heavy. Checked to see my growth, realized I was close to growing into a bigger thing. I had over 6,000 health at this point despite only being a teen. And at this time, I'd aged up, beginning hour 21. Now my thing was even slower, but it was also much stronger, and now if I ever needed to fight back, I could definitely fight back. Not against like a Kratos or anything, but I could surely just survive myself. And now, looking for new challenges, I spent hour 21 to 22 hiking up this land and then trying to get a very cool image of me in the sunny skies next to the really cool set of the islands that is very beautiful to see. After successfully climbing up, I reached hour 23, and I had reached the zenith of my existence. I'd conquered all the threats except that one thing that I had to run away from when I was poisoned to hell. I looked on to the beauty of the mountains and rested, and now, until hour 24, I woke back up and then went down, looking for more lands, another challenge. I returned to the home of the water, down to the seaweed depth, not really going anywhere, just exploring until I saw there was a portal there and realized this is my chance to take this portal and see what could happen. And it brought me to a totally unknown land I'd never been in before, but then I realized this was very peaceful. There was no one here but myself. And I realized the mesa was a place that I could finally call home, away from all the danger. Peace with myself, as I spent the rest of my days fully growing, and that was 24 hours survived. As a Godzilla Kaiju, I'd finally reached my peace, had all the food in the world, all the water in the world, all the transportation in the world, and it was just quiet and beautiful, and I spent out my day just eating the algae in peace. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm trying to become the biggest Creatures of Sonaria YouTuber, and your support would mean a lot.